Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today, our guest is Aaron Howell. Thanks for being on the show, Aaron.
Thanks for having me, Whitney.
Yeah, Aaron is a pharmacist now working part-time because of his real estate investments. The pharmacy has become his side gig, and we're going to get into that and how he's turned that around. And anyway, he's been a private pilot since 2014, and he's got a 6-unit under contract. He's going to syndicate, and we want to get into that process and how he's educating himself and moving into the syndication business. But Aaron, why don't you give us some more background, about why real estate, why leave the pharmacy position and move into real estate? What is it about real estate and why?
I had no background in real estate initially. I bought a townhouse in 2006. We all know what happened in 2008. So couldn't sell it, decided to rent it. I think, the light bulb went off at that point. It's like, okay, my tenant pays the rent. We did it again in 2011 in Las Vegas, then again in 2012 in Las Vegas. But why real estate versus pharmacy? I think I have a little bit more control over my time. Kind of been working toward a goal. Back in May, we kind of reached that goal, and I wasn't planning on going part-time at Walmart. But the situation arose, and the manager at this pharmacy at UVA called, and I was like, sure, I'll come interview. And I got there. I was driving to the interview. I said, there's no way in the world I'm taking this job. And after the interview, I was like, okay, maybe. And, after about 2 weeks of deliberation, I went ahead and accepted the job. It's kind of freed my time up. I'm down to, 20, 24 hours a week versus, 36 and 40 hours. I was joking with a friend today. I only have one key on my keychain. He gave me a second key, so now I'm confused. I have to figure out which one unlocks my front door and which one doesn't now. But basically just kind of getting more control over my time in the long run.
Great. So what were some of the first properties, what was your first thoughts about getting into real estate? What were you looking at first? Single family, multifamily? What was your plan?
There wasn't a plan. Initially, it was basically just to get it out from under the weight of 2 mortgages. I had a townhouse, rented it out. I probably lost $100 a month over the course of 6-7 years. But at the end of, when I sold it to the tenant, I did get a check. So I wasn't 100% underwater at that point, but, multifamily kind of came up in 2014. That was the first duplex I purchased. We renovated the basement at the time, and it was vacant for a couple of months, but the upstairs paid more than paid the mortgage and the property manager fee. So, I knew, okay, I could do this. And we've just done it more and more and more over time. 2017, purchased 10 units. We purchased 6 so far this year, and then working on 6 more, hopefully early December.
Great. So, what's been some, what's a big learning curve that you've had as far as, from buying that townhome to, buying the 10 units in 2017, now having 6 more under contract. What's been a couple big things that maybe, you could help the listener not make those same mistakes?
I would definitely, probably if I had it to do over again or started earlier, probably using more of a team. I have you have to have boots on the ground if you're investing at a distance. And now kind of what I'm doing is I'm bringing in partners to kind of help, scale our business a little bit more. I'm getting around, networking a little bit more with people. And, I'm using more of a mentor system now than I have in the past. I've kind of, I've read and learned a lot, but I'm kind of at the point now where I need somebody bigger than me to kind of help a little bit. But I would definitely recommend, building a team.
So can you give us a little guidance on building that team? Maybe something you've done that has really helped your business. Who's been what's been the first person that you'd recommend us hire? What's their job going to be?
I would say get a good realtor that you like, that kind of understands the investor mindset. Not everyone necessarily, as far as realtors go, not everyone has that investor mindset. But that would be one of the key people on the team. A good property inspector, wherever you're going to be investing at is helpful. Somebody who, they're obviously they're going to be pointing out bad things with the property and, trying to help you out, but you want somebody you can trust in that aspect.
So you mentioned, you're networking more now. What are some ways you found, that's been the most beneficial as far as networking? What type of groups, or where are you going? Where are you meeting, people that you're trying to meet?
Initially, in the last couple of years, there's been a local meetup based in Waynesboro, Virginia. I've been attending some of those meetings. Couldn't always get to a lot of them because I work Thursday evenings, and that's generally the last Thursday of the month is usually the night of the meeting. So I not the best attendance that way, but I've got a couple of people that I've met on Bigger Pockets. We'll catch up for coffee occasionally. I'm also part of the Michael Blanc Inner Circle Mastermind group. And that's we had a meeting in late August. It was a 2.5 hour drive home, but I drove home exhausted, mentally exhausted, because it was a long day, and just learned a lot overall.
That's awesome. So you've gained quite a bit of experience over the last few years, numerous duplexes, numerous properties, and now you're looking to syndicate this next deal, correct?
Yes.
So why syndicate this deal as opposed to buying it like you did the duplexes or the other properties?
I think syndication, probably because sweat equity. I'm doing a lot of the work. I did a lot of the work earlier in our 6-unit deal that we did, and I'm not upset about it or jealous or anything like that. But I did most of the work, kind of getting the deal done, and I still get a quarter of the proceeds from the deal. I think as a syndicator, to being able to make most of the shots, or call most of the shots, I should say, working on the acquisition fee, knowing, building relationships with the property manager there and the broker there in Pittsburgh. I think that's helped, but I think syndication is where I'm heading in the future.
Nice. So why syndicate? I know you said you're moving that direction in the future, but why not just keep purchasing a duplex or something like that? I know you said you'll be able to call more of the shots, but why try to do larger properties as opposed to just doing some more townhomes and sticking to smaller multifamily?
I think probably just one central location. If you're going to spend the same amount of energy purchasing a 12-unit building or a 6-unit building or a 15-unit building that you're going to spend purchasing a 2-unit or a 4-unit. So, if you can pull investors' assets together, the 15-unit, the 12-unit, the 10-unit, 6-unit makes a lot more sense. There's only one roof on the property, usually. There might be a central boiler, or, there's just a shared, the CapEx is a lot smaller. Instead of having 6 duplexes, you could have one 12-unit building and just have one roof. Whereas, the 6 duplexes, you have 6 roofs, obviously.
So what are some ways you're educating yourself about the syndication business? So you're building the confidence to do the larger deals.
Well, I'm part of that mastermind group. We have our next get together in Los Angeles at the end of this November. I also read a lot. I'm trying to, read as much as I can. I just bought the Joe Fairless book. I finished the Michael Blanc book here recently. Matt Faircloth, I'm about 2/3 of the way through his book on raising private capital. And there you go.
I got both of them right here.
Yeah. Good deal. Great minds think alike. But, just educating myself. I'm kind of putting myself, a little uncomfortable position. I think I'm more effective that way. I talked to an SEC attorney the other day, which is kind of scary, but really nice guy. And I felt really good after talking to him because I feel like he'll kind of get things situated for the syndication, and we'll be on the up and up as far as, the investors go, and then the legality of everything.
So you mentioned putting yourself in an uncomfortable position, and I can relate to that because I found that unless you're willing to put yourself out there and get in those uncomfortable positions, you're not going to grow. You're not going to, to do bigger things. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I know myself. I know, I'm pretty comfortable. We have, my wife's a nurse. I'm a pharmacist. We have, essentially 22 units, 16 on our own, and then 6 with the partnership. So, we're not struggling to pay bills. I think we do, pretty well by society standards, but I know myself. I know I need to kind of be uncomfortable and keep kind of moving forward. We have a chalkboard in our kitchen, and for about 2-3 years, I had the number 20 circled, and that was our goal, to get to 20 units. So I have to look at that every day. And we've got 70 up there now, so I've got some work to do.
Nice. Very nice. So what are some of the next steps you're taking to reach that 70 unit goal?
I'm trying to network a little bit more. I'm working with people that I've known for a while, asking them who do they know, kind of working on that tier 2 group of, of contacts at this point. I've got a personal website now to kind of, hone people in as far as my business goes and what I'm trying to do. But just trying to get out there and network a lot more and talk to people. The stock market's doing great, but I think everybody knows we're due for a downturn. So a lot of investors are kind of a little bit antsy right now. And, if we could help them get some of their money out of the stock market and put it in something tangible, I think that would be a great thing. And I think a lot of people, that's resonating with them.
How have you felt about, the raising the capital for this deal, considering you haven't done a syndication yet?
It's a little uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. I'm not so sure I'm worried, but that thought is in the back of my mind as far as like, are we going to be able to raise enough capital? I know we can do it. I've got 3 or 4 people I think that are pretty much good to go on this first deal. But, again, being uncomfortable kind of makes me move a little bit more efficiently. So.
Awesome. So I guess tell us some ways that some things you've put in your business, maybe some systems or something that, getting uncomfortable has caused you to do, but it's helped you to grow. What are some things you've done recently to help your business grow?
I never really realized it into our mastermind meeting, but staying in contact with people, people after the first podcast I was on, a lot of people reached out. Hey, I really liked your story. Hey, if you're looking to do a deal in the future, please let me know. I might be interested. So I've started saving. I respond to every email for everybody, but I've started keeping those emails in a separate folder and just staying in contact with those people periodically. Just saying, checking in to see how they're doing, asking them, what kind of progress they're making. So that's one thing I've definitely stepped my game up on.
Nice. So. You mentioned a few minutes ago, you spoke to that SEC attorney and, they helped you feel more comfortable about doing this. I guess, could you just walk us through like, why do we need an SEC attorney? I just really want to break it down for that person who hasn't done, a syndication before. It's just getting into the business. Who is that team member and why do we need them?
They basically are going to kind of keep you on the straight and narrow. This guy, he does this full time. He mentioned, hey, you're going to have members that aren't necessarily going to be voting. They're not going to be in control of the deal. So technically you're trading a security or they're buying a security to stay on the right side of the law. That's exactly why I'm going to use them. But, you've got partners that really won't be voting. They're going to be completely passive. So that's why you need that advice and expertise of the SEC attorney.
So, Aaron, what would you say is the number one thing that's contributed to your success?
I think overall, knowing what I didn't want, knowing I didn't want to be working when I was 65 in the pharmacy. I worked with a over 65 pharmacist when I left Walmart. He was working 40 hours a week. I was working 36. And then another pharmacist was working 32. I just knew when I was 65 or 67, I didn't want to be working 40 hours a week, working 12-hour shifts by myself. You're on your feet all day. You're constantly talking to patients. People are asking you questions, trying to skip going to the doctor, using your advice. I enjoy the job. I still, I graduated 18 years ago and change, and I still love the job. I volunteered at our local free clinic, but I'd like to volunteer more and, have that control to choose when I volunteer. And I just know that 20 years from now, I don't want to be working in pharmacy, putting 5 or 7 miles on my Fitbit every day.
So, I know you're getting into the syndication business, and we've been through that. But so far, what's been the hardest part of the syndication process for you?
I think for me personally is just getting organized. I'm kind of a big, broad picture guy. And I've, kind of getting organized and, putting everything in one package, has been a little harder for me. When I do it, I sit down and I do it, I'm good at it, but I'd rather just kind of big picture it. And I think maybe at some point, as network more, a partner might be good that's really detail oriented. And I've met a couple of those folks here lately through those contacts that I got. So that's been the hardest thing for me. And I think at some point I'm going to probably bring a detail person in.
Nice. So, what in your experience so far, what would you say is the biggest reason that most, investors or specifically syndicators fail in this business?
I think a lot of investors think about getting started. They think and they think and they think and they never, they never actually get started. I mean, even if you don't do a syndication or if you don't buy a commercial property, a small duplex, it's kind of hard to go wrong on. If you can get a duplex in certain areas for, 80, 100 grand and you can get $1,500 rent a month, it's going to cash flow, every month of the year pretty much. But I think a lot of people just never get started. I talk to a lot of people at our RIA meetings and, some of the contacts I've talked to, they've been, learning about real estate for a year and they just never have taken any action. They certainly, I've talked to a person recently, he and a friend had $100,000 cash and they've been sitting on it for a year thinking and learning. And I'm thinking, good Lord, if I had $100,000 just laying around, I could put it to use for you. So, again, that's a contact that I'm keeping up with.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And it goes back to being uncomfortable too, right? Stepping out of your comfort zone and making it happen. And, before we have to go, what advice would you give someone that's just starting in the multifamily syndication business?
I would just immerse myself in the business. If you wanted to learn Spanish, you go to Mexico. Or if you wanted to learn German, you go to Germany for a couple of weeks in the summer. Just, put yourself in the situation where you're around people who are doing what you want to do. Go to your RIA meetings, reach out to some folks on Bigger Pockets, attend some seminars on the weekends, but just kind of immerse yourself in the business and, learn the language.
Great. So Aaron, would you tell the listeners how they can learn more about your business and how they can get in touch with you?
Yeah. My email is ahowell, which is A and then HOWELL, the number 7 at hotmail.com. That's my personal email. And, I'll email you back if you email me. My website is Black Lick Capital. Black is the word, lick, capital.com. And that way you can reach out to me also. And other than that, you can probably find me on LinkedIn or Bigger Pockets also.
Great. So Aaron, you've been a great guest. I appreciate your time and sharing with the listeners, and I appreciate the listeners being on today. And I hope that you'll go to the Facebook group where you can interact with Aaron and experts like him, and we can learn this business together. Thank you all. And we will talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by Life Bridge Capital. Life Bridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. Life Bridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.